the Turkish state continues to maintain its position of denial regarding the genocide. In recent years, however, an increasing number of Turkish intellectuals have broken with the state line and spoken out on the genocide. It has often been at their own risk.
I was speaking out of a feeling of utter disgust at all the hypocrisy surrounding this question. That is to say, this nauseating repetition of all these state line phrases about the Armenian slanders, the so-called genocide, the false Armenian allegations, and so on and so forth. It was fairly clear that somehow the state, the deep state, was signaling the press that this was how they should be talking, and the media, the press, the journalists, the TV anchormen, etc., were all instinctively falling into line.
In the year 2000, Professor Berktay gave an interview on the genocide to a major Turkish newspaper.
It was as if I was yelling very loudly, "The emperor has no clothes." They started yelling, "Traitor. Here is this traitor in our midst. Here is this person who is aiding and abetting the enemy. He should be instantaneously fired from his university. There must be punishment for him." Not only did they organize hate mail and obscenity mail and death threat campaigns, I became this rare animal, a Turkish historian inside Turkey that has spoken up.
Another man in Turkey, Ragip Zarakalu, had a similar experience when he and his wife published the book The Armenians, A History of the Genocide by Yves Ternon in the early 1990s. It was the first book to be published in Turkey that openly acknowledged the events of 1915 as genocide.
We decided to publish books about Armenian genocide. And after published that book, we were attacked. We had threats. And in 1994, we had a bomb attack. Our editorial office finished because of the bomb attack. We lost all our archives. And my wife, I had 2-year prison sentence because she published Yves Ternon book.
Ragip Zarakalu and his late wife have been taken to trial over 40 times and even imprisoned for the books they published, most of which dealt with the Armenian genocide or other human rights issues. Ragip lives in Turkey to this day.
The fact that you could actually live in a society, get the best education that society has to offer, which I did, and not know about it or have any books or anything available to read about it puzzled me, obviously. Why didn't I know anything? Why was there that silence?
In April 2003, the Ministry of National Education of the Republic of Turkey issued a directive to all schools that they have to organize teaching to show that the Armenian genocide and its claims that such things occurred were groundless, that they never occurred. In other words, official denial by the state taught as part of the curriculum in the national schools of Turkey.
Imagine for a moment the history books of the Western world being printed without having the story of World War I in there. Here is a significant country in our world spending an enormous amount of its money, of its resources on one subject. Don't you mention the Armenian genocide. And that's what their ambassadors and their designated representatives, including in academia, are busy doing all around the world. And the story gets dirtier. I can tell you, anybody can tell you of conference after conference, book after book, efforts to produce a TV program, a movie about the Armenian genocide, where the Turkish government has intervened at every conceivable level.
One of the most famous examples occurred when movie giant MGM announced it was making a movie on the Armenian genocide in 1935 called The 40 Days of Musa Dagh. But as soon as the news reached Turkey, the U.S. State Department was contacted and pressured by Turkey into all but forcing MGM to shut the production down, which it did.
When I wrote my book and included the Armenian genocide, I actually expected in city after American city to have to defend the inclusion of that case because I understood how much controversy there was about use of the term genocide. And what amazed me was that there were deniers. There were people who raised their hands, from time to time on, as I traveled around, but they were always either Turkish or officials or individuals who had been sent out by the Turkish embassy. That's a sign, in a way, that already Turkish deniers are becoming the equivalent socially, culturally, of Holocaust deniers.
وقت سبيكي كلمة كي سبيكي شو بيجنا راسه نراسه جمرة شوكي هتش برشة بيا شو در باس بيا.
What makes me especially upset is the lack of acknowledgement of the grief of a people or their right to grieve of a loss.
I believe the recognition of the genocide issue is a matter of time. I wish it took place not because Turkey was forced to do so, but because they wanted to do so. I hope the impetus comes from within Turkey itself, so that just as Turks might be characterized as genocidal, at the same time they also take the credit for putting their own house in order, and to show that not all Turks are genocidal. In fact, many are honorable and they are willing to do the right thing, even if their parents or grandparents' generation didn't do so. Maybe that is the way out in the future. Maybe that will happen. I really don't know.
When it so comes to pass that in Turkey this question can be discussed and debated like any other question, without one or the other kind of point of view necessarily being labeled treason, treachery, betrayal, the enemy in our midst, etc., when it can be de-emotionalized and discussed in the same breath and in the same category with any other question of scholarly truth about what actually happened in history, then that will be the solution.
Many citizens in Turkey, of both Kurdish and Turkish ethnicity, remember vividly what their parents and grandparents told them about what happened to the Armenians.
Ya bab mandgo farman wanet go du farmana fula ra kirbun devlet ra kirbu o malaji camiyade qat'ama bana halade Hristiyanin yani gele zgayni asker gele ahlici espiji pervan kuşu gori ku bab wan go yani bizde bir wan gibi istiyor.
Benim babamın dedim şahsen yaptığı bir şey vardır. Ermeniler yakalamışlar. Bir ağıra koymuşlar, yakmışlar. Diyor, sesi kulaklarına gitmedi diyor.
Hinki insan dinsiz embebejin ku Xwedê nas nekirin rabun gotin Ermenilerin katli vacib. Katla bawan helal kirin insanlara. Go ki nizamşen habe Ermeniya bikuje deriye cehenneme diglet kede cennet. Avan insana jin nezaniya xoji cehaletiya xo. Herkesi şuna xuda qal'avan insana hani. Eko servet avandani. Eko keşke vani biçuş xwedi kirin.
Ez kanım viyav bejim. Ez ve çalışım dibistana yani ez herhalde dibistan ya 5 sınıfı ya 4 sınıf tişki var yani. Başna isim kalemi hevu Hacı Süleyman Cevdet'in. Mecdu ya çma var ki tayyip kem juan çiktir bun. Edgum ben nizanım bu. Hem peşkeşi medgu devleti fermanlarda gotiye ki bana katlaman helalın. O dindar mecmer ne gotiye ki bana insanın çiğnekin bu yahu meci dikir.